but we'll wait just a moment to have people. Send over to
Did anybody not push it in?
what's up about the phone?
I think.
Yeah.
No, Brad never responded.
I would say you could go begin.
Okay. Welcome to the meeting of the Board of Directors of the State of Hawaii Department of Agriculture. I am Sharon Hurd, chairperson. Prior to calling the meeting to order, Stephen Dalton will explain how the public can participate in this hybrid meeting, which can be accessed via video conference, telephone, or in person.
Good morning. As an attendee, your microphone will be automatically muted during the meeting unless you are providing testimony. For each agenda item you wish to testify on, please click the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen. Board staff will individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. When recognized by the chair, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you are finished speaking in order to prevent audio feedback. When testifying, you will be asked to identify yourself and the organization, if any, that you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 2 minutes of testimony per agenda item. For those of you, I don't see anybody joining us via phone, but in case, when the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may indicate you want to testify by entering star and then 9 on your phone's keypad. After entering star and then 9, a voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting has been notified. When recognized by the chairperson, you may unmute yourself by pressing star and then 6 on your phone. A voice prompt will let you know that you are unmuted. Once you are finished speaking, please enter star and then 6 again to mute yourself. In the event that the connectivity is lost and attempts to repair the connection exceed 30 minutes, the meeting may be terminated or continued to another date and time. Consult the webpage for updated information. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Testifiers are reminded that there is a 2-minute limit per testimony per agenda item. Okay, calling the meeting to order at 9:04. Roll call vote. I will take a roll call of the board members present. When your name is called, please indicate your presence with a here or present and state who, if anyone over the age of 18, is present in the room with you. This also serves as a roll call vote. For each subsequent vote, I will ask if there are any objections or recusals. If there are none, then the motion will be approved on the same basis as this initial roll call. Okay, to begin, Sharon Hurd is here. Deputy Director Ryan Kanakaole.
Present and alone.
Thank you. Dr. Grewal, Dean C.F.R.
Present.
Mary Alice Evans, DBET.
Present and alone.
Thank you. Diane Lay, Hawaii.
Present and alone.
Thank you, Diane. Vincent Mina, Maui.
Aloha, everybody. Present and alone.
Thank you. Fred Cowell, Kauai. Excused.
Aloha. Present and alone.
Oh, hi, Fred.
Good morning.
Randy Cabral.
Morning, present and alone.
Thank you. And Young. Excused. James Gomes.
Present and alone. Aloha kakahiaka, everyone.
Thank you. We have quorum. May I have a motion to approve the March 27th, 2024 minutes?
So moved, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second,
Thank you. Who was the second?
Vincent.
Vincent, thank you, Vince. Okay, does anyone from the public wish to give testimony on the minutes?
There are no hands raised at this time.
Thank you. Board discussion? Thank you. Calling for the vote. Hearing none. Are there objections or recusals? Hearing none, the motion to approve the minutes is approved. Okay, introductions have been done, so now we're gonna move on to item 4, communications from divisions and administration. First is the Agricultural Resource Management Division. Item 1, request to approve rental offset, general lease number S-3155, Tree Concepts Hawaii LLC, lessee TMK 14-1-027-023, Waimanalo, Po'olaupoco, Island of Oahu, Hawaii. May I have a motion to approve this request?
So moved.
Thank you, Mary Alice. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Diane. Presentation by staff?
Good morning, Chairperson, members of the board. Roy Hasegawa, Property Manager, Agricultural Resource Management Division. General lease number S-3155 was awarded to Tree Concepts Hawaii LLC by the Board of Agriculture. The lessee submitted expense receipts for equipment and services rendered for having the parcel surveyed, cutting vegetation, and installing a perimeter fence. The lessee continues to clear the land in anticipation of planting various trees and ornamental plants. The expenses to prepare the land for planting have exceeded the amount totaling 2 years of rental offset for the lease. The issuance of this lease and clearing of the property resulted in fewer reports of homeless encampments and substance abuse occurring on the premises. The Board of Agriculture may permit the lessee to offset the cost of land clearance and improvements against not more than 2 years of base annual rental. The lessee is requesting rental offsets of 2 years of base annual lease rent in the amount of $60,168. Staff recommends that the Board of Agriculture approve the lessee's request for rental offset. Thank you.
Thank you, Owen. Does anyone from the public wish to give testimony?
There are no hands raised at this time.
Thank you, Steve. And board discussion? Vincent?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I want to just revisit this. I believe it's germane to the agenda item in that the clearing that was going on this property, was there grading permits? I know it was in question were there permits that were issued for their clearing? Because the lease wasn't encumbered yet.
Currently there's a lease. The lessee is clearing, and according to the Department of Planning and Permitting, permit is not required for clearing, which is cutting the trees. That's what they're doing. They're not uprooting anything.
Okay, because I know there was a Hay Allen property, right?
Heiau is on a separate it's a separate parcel. It has its own tax map number.
Okay. Because there was a meeting in Waimanalo. Mary Alice, are you familiar with the community meeting that occurred about this parcel?
No, I'm not, but I was aware that agricultural activities are not subject to grubbing and grading permits in the city and county of Honolulu.
Okay. All right. Well, there was some concerns that came out of that community meeting, so I just was wondering. I don't see anybody here testifying to that, so I guess it's not as big of an issue, but it was brought to my attention and I just wanted to see if there was anything looming there regarding the use of this property and if it's in line with all that they're supposed to be doing.
The lessee is working with NRCS for the conservation plan, and this particular parcel is adjacent to that Heiau. So they had it surveyed and they're working with NRCS for clearing and making sure that they stay on their property.
Great. Thanks, Roy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you. Any other further discussion by the, I see hands. Jimmy?
Hey, Roy, what is what kind of trees are they removing? Are they albizia trees? The majority?
Primarily, yeah, albizia trees primarily.
Okay, thank you.
Is there another hand? Oh, I'd like to mention that Enyoung just joined the meeting. Okay, any further discussion by the board on this item A1? Seeing none? Okay, calling for the vote. Are there any objections or recusals? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item A2. Is that-
Sorry, can you just confirm that, Ben Young, present, is alone?
Oh, and please confirm that you're present and alone.
Yes, President alone.
Thank you, Anne. So do I say that it's unanimous?
The vote was unanimous.
Okay, so thank you. The vote was unanimous. Okay, item number 2.
Sorry, I missed it. Sorry. Go ahead. You're good.
I'm good. Okay, second item on the agenda is A2. Request for consignment of a general lease. So item 2, request for conversion of general lease S-4475 Kiki Ranch Incorporated, lessee, TMK 34-4-014-002, government land of Kalopa and Kaohe-3, Hamakua, Island of Hawaii, Hawaii. May I have a motion to approve the request?
Chair.
So moved, Jimmy.
Your Chair.
Randy and Jimmy, thank you.
No, well, I wanted to ask a question before the motion was
Sure.
made. If
Go
I
ahead,
may,
Randy.
and
Sure.
Jimmy, maybe you want to rethink this once I ask the question. It's my understanding that a conversion, you can get up to 65 years. Is that correct?
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
Now, the Monizes are proven successful ranchers, and therefore I would like to make a change so that the lease goes to 65-year term instead of 35. And Jimmy, I know you made the motion, but if you're okay with changing it to 65.
I am totally okay with changing it to 65. Good shot. Good call, Randy.
Then I second it.
I think we have to approve the motion to amend.
If Jimmy withdraws the motion first,
Yeah. I don't want that original motion. I want the second motion, or remove the first motion. And the motion I have is to accept for a 65-year lease.
Sounds like a good motion.
second,
Waiting for advice from council. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, that you may withdraw the motion and make a new motion.
So James, could you, Jimmy, could you withdraw your motion and make a new motion?
I
think
move
you
to
already
withdraw
did,
my
but-
original motion and make a motion to accept the lease rather than 35 years, make it 65 years.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the amendment to the original request?
I'm sorry, Chair, I was unclear. The original move on withdrew the motion, submitted a new motion. So all you need now is a second.
Correct.
Okay. So the second was from,
second,
Randy.
thank you, Randy. Okay, so the motion by Jimmy was seconded by Randy. Presentation by staff.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. I am Brandy Ayo, property manager with the ARM division on the Big Island. Some background information, General Lease 4475 was sold at public auction on August 25th, 1975 to Richard Toledo for a term of 35 years commencing on March 1st, 1976. On March 12th, 1976, the Board of Land and Natural Resources consented to the assignment of 4475, from Richard Toledo to KK Ranch, Inc. The lease was transferred to the Department of Agriculture by Governor's Executive Order number 4698 dated October 20th, 2023. KK Ranch, Inc. has developed, maintained, and utilized the subject property as a beef cattle operation. KK Ranch, Inc. has requested conversion of the said lease in accordance with the HDOA to a new, it was said 35 years, but it's been changed to 65-year term, subject to the requirements of the administrative rules, which are stated in pertinent sections as follows. The department shall require an appraisal of the parcel in accordance with the HAR, impose other lease terms, provisions, restrictions, and conditions as provided in this chapter. as may be required to protect the state's interest, require the payment of annual lease rent by appraisal and a premium computed at 25% of the annual lease rent for each year of the lease equal to a number of years that person occupy the land, but not to exceed 7 years, and require those qualifying under subsection A to meet the bona fide farmer criteria as defined in the HDOA. An appraisal was completed for the purpose of determining the fair market rental for the subject property parcel. The Department of Agriculture contracted ACM Consultants, Inc. to determine the fair market annual base rental for the initial 15-year term of the lease. The appraised annual rental for the new lease is $20,000. The annual rental for this lease will be applied to the effective date of the new lease. In accordance with the HDOA, the lessee shall also pay an annual premium equal to 25% of the annual base rental for a period not to exceed 7 years. Further, the board and lessee mutually agree to cancel General Lease 4475 by executing a mutual cancellation subject to the execution of the converted general lease. Since the mutual cancellation of lease is agreed upon and executed by the parties and is not due to breach or default by the lessee, lessee is eligible and qualified for the new general lease. It is our recommendation that the Board of Agriculture finds that by allowing the conversion of General Lease 4475 to a new long-term lease, the state would realize greater returns and reduce disruptions to current ongoing farming operations and is therefore in the public's interest. Approve the lessee's request to convert General Lease 4475 to a new non-ag park lands lease for not more than 35 years, but in this case, 65 years for its initial lease term, subject to the conversion provisions of the HDOA, with rent reopenings at the expiration of the 15th and 30th years. Accept the fair market base rental rate of $20,000 per year and approve the mutual cancellation of General Lease 4475, subject to the execution of the effective date of the new general lease. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. Does anyone from the public wish to give testimony?
I see no hands raised.
Thank you, Stephen. Board discussion? I see Mary Alice Evans.
Thank you, Chair. In the recommendation in item number 1, it states that the state would realize greater returns, and this would be part of the reason why this conversion would be in the public interest. Why would the state realizing greater returns be in the public interest? Is that, I thought our goal is to ensure that agriculture and farmers and ranchers are given support to be successful.
Understood. Brandy?
Sorry. Hi. Yes, I'm trying to read. Realize greater. I believe that is basically a statement because it's being utilized for the purposes of agriculture. It is in the public's best interest to reduce its disruptions. I believe that that's what that statement means. It's coming from, I believe it's coming from the HDOA.
And so the greater returns to the state in the form of additional lease rentals is not the basis for the public interest?
I don't believe so.
Okay. All right. Chair, I wanted to explore that idea because I think that, you know, the department's mission is to support agriculture and therefore realizing greater returns from lease rentals should not be our primary goal.
Understood.
Just a statement, not a, you know. Thank you very much.
I would add, Mary Alice, that in light of the recent fires and the way that the non-ag park land management occurs, that is also of a benefit to the state as well, to extend the lease to lessees that manage the land well. You know, that's a public benefit as well. So thank you for your comment. Next in queue was Diane Lay.
Thank you, Chair. Brandy, I had a question about the recommendation number 2. It references rent reopenings on the 15th and 30th years, but with the extension to 65 years would.
That's what I was going to actually ask. So do we take care of this now with, because we would probably do it, I would guess another at the 30th, 10 years after that, every 10 years after the 30-year term. Linda, are you on board? If you can come forward, because I think that's pretty much our practice. We would do it the 15th year, 30th year, and then 10 years, every 10 years after that, with which that's kind of our schedule for the rent reopenings.
Linda's not on right now.
She's not on. Roy, do you know that? If you could come forward, is that accurate?
It's been the division policy to do 15 and then 10 thereafter, but
Yeah.
this is pretty much a first sentence. We're doing the full 65 from the get-go, so yeah, it depends.
Thanks, Roy.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry, Brandy, this is Brian.
Thank you.
My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that a mandatory finding of the motion is that the transaction or the conversion is in the public interest. Is that right? So if you take out the increase in realization of income to the program, which I understand goes to the special fund, is that right? Brandy, does the rental income go to a special fund?
You know, I cannot answer that question. I'm not 100% sure where it goes. I can find out for
Roy-
you guys.
Roy is telling me the answer is yes.
Okay.
So I had initially thought that the justification for finding a public interest was that the program would then have additional funds in order to manage the program and make opportunities available for other farmers. But if you take that out as a basis, what is the basis for finding that this conversion is in the public interest?
Sorry, can you repeat that again? I'm having some interruptions on my end.
So your recommendation was there's an increase in public realizations, and that was in the public interest. But if you take that away, if that's not the reason for the public interest, what is the reason for the public interest?
To reduce the disruptions to the current ongoing farming operation. You know, KK Ranch has been a good steward of the property of the land and has been very active in producing cattle for the island and the state of Hawaii. So we wouldn't, by supporting this lease conversion, it would reduce that disruption.
Okay, thanks.
Diane, any further questions?
No, I guess, I'll leave it to staff to, and the attorneys to finalize reopening dates. That makes sense.
We can get
I'm
back
good.
to you. Board on?
I think it'd be easier if it was just approved subject to, and normally it is subject to review by the AG's office.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that language is here, so I'm good with that. Thank you.
So we're gonna keep the language in number 2, reopenings at the expiration of the 15th and 30th years?
I would think it would just be subject to the review
Okay.
and revision by the AG's office.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Any other hands up? I can't see. No? Any further board discussion? Hearing none, no hands, no voices, okay. Calling for the vote. Are there any objections or recusals? Hearing, seeing none, the motion is approved. Thank you. For this board meeting, we have no old business, we have no new business. So, oh, Vince, go ahead, Vince.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, Brian, is it all right for me to bring up an item in our last meeting regarding the compost discussion, even though it shows no old business?
No, we cannot have a discussion of any matter that's not on the agenda, but you can ask the chair to place a matter on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, well, Chair, I just wanted to do a follow-up on the, if there has been a pallet taken apart and tested, what I brought up about the last meeting. if there was testing done on the
I
pallet that was treated to
Okay.
compost for
Thank you,
CR.
Vince. Sorry, we will get back to you on that and the board.
Thank you.
I remember the question. Okay. Thank you, Vince. Any other discussion by the board? Any other comment?
Yeah, can we hold these long meetings down to the limit?
You know, I'm sure the lessees appreciate the votes taken. They don't have to wait any further. So, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Jimmy.
Jimmy and Vince second. Thank you so much. Board discussion? Calling for the vote. Hearing no objections or recusals, we are adjourned. Last adjourning is at 9:27. And the next meeting is May 28th at 9 a.m. Thank you, board.
Bye, everybody. Be well.